Welcome to Desktop Bodybuilding. I'm your host, Xavier, and I'm joined today by CEO of Redcon One, former bodybuilding media personality, and now family man, Aaron Singerman. Mate, it's been a long time, but how have you been?
No, been great, man. Thank you for having me on, Xavier. It has been. We have a lot of history. I got to come to Australia. I think it was my first time. I think it was my first time, right? When I
Yeah.
came and saw you, or was it my second time?
It was your first
My
time.
first time. Yeah, my first time. Yeah, you introduced me to what's the kangaroo hot dogs? What do they call them?
Kangaroobangers.
Kangaroobangers, and also all the various treats. What was the ones I had with the milk? What was that? The straws.
Tim Tams?
You know, you put them. Yes, Tim Tams. You
Yeah.
introduced me to. Yeah, and that was my first trip. Me and Dave Palumbo went to Australia, and you, kind of were like our assistant slash host for the event, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, something like that. It was really, really cool because I was, obviously a fan of you guys for ages, and that was before, I started things with RX Muscle Australia, and you were obviously, I don't know if you were the publisher in
I don't think so. Yeah,
No,
I wasn't yet. I became editor in chief, but it was later on. Yeah.
Yeah. And I brought you guys out, and obviously being a massive fan at the time, I was just like, oh, this is the coolest shit ever. So,
And you were very young. You were what, like 18 or something, right? 20,
it's like
18,
20,
something like
20
that?
something around there, 2021, something like that.
Very
Yeah.
young, yeah.
So yeah, we've both grown up a lot since then, and it's been actually like a lot of years since then, which is pretty crazy. But and a lot has happened obviously for you, and a bit has happened for me too. But like obviously, Redcon One has blown up, and you've been involved. You started in the industry and with RX Muscle, you moved on to Blackstone Labs. You had Prime Nutrition in there, and now obviously with Redcon One being by far the biggest success so far, and it seems like that's the one that's really just going to continue on, at least for like for the time being and for quite a while. I want to just start this interview, and we want to dissect sort of how you became the success you are now in business and how it works with your family life and all that sort of stuff, because I think a lot of people are really interested in that. And when I've actually spoke to most people, they want to find out about like how the hell have you done this? How have you made a supplement company this size so quickly too? Because how long has Redcon One been in existence for?
About 2.5 years, maybe a little longer than 2.5 years now. Yeah, so it's been a very short period of time in the scheme of things.
Yeah, that's incredible growth in 2.5 years, and I've just seen your warehouse and everything going on with that. But we'll touch on that in a little bit. But how's your family? Because you've got 3 kids now. I saw on your Instagram story today that Asha has a girlfriend apparently at 6 years old, which is pretty funny. I know, my girlfriend, she's got an 11-year-old boy, and she's like, he's not having a girlfriend till he's like 16. So. How's all that
well,
going?
he says he has a girlfriend. He says he has one. We haven't. He's an entertainer, Asher. He's a little character. So, who knows what that means? He only has one girl in his little. He has a tiny class. So, he's in a school with just 6 people in his class. Wow. There's more people in the grade, but it's like there's 2 teachers for 6 kids. It's like crazy.
That's incredible.
So he has a lot of attention on him. So there's only one girl in the class, and he is all proud that she chose him to be her husband. So I don't know what kind of girlfriend it is, but it's having those kids in my life is a huge benefit to business. For one, when you and I met, right? I didn't have any kids yet. I wasn't married to Darielle. I don't think I was even dating. No, I wasn't dating Darielle. I hadn't even met her yet.
No,
right?
you were.
Oh, was it dating her? Okay.
When you came to Australia, you were dating. I remember that.
Okay.
Or maybe not when you met though.
Yeah. So having a kid, a lot of people say that having kids costs a lot of money. You hear that a lot. Oh, it's very expensive to have kids. But for me, kids really was the impetus, the start of me being successful. So I was fortunate enough to be doing what I love to do for a living, working for Dave and traveling the world covering bodybuilding. I enjoyed that. I mean, I felt very lucky to be doing it, but I wasn't making money. I wasn't making any kind of money to save anything or provide for a family. I was making enough money to pay for my bills and live a cool life by my standards, especially at the time. But I didn't have any resources to do anything really for anybody else or really much for myself. I just got to do what I like to do, what I love to do for a living, and pay the bills. So when Asher came, when I found out that she was pregnant with Asher, Darielle, my wife, I was like, holy shit. And something went off in my head where I was like, okay, now it's not just about me anymore. It's not even just about her. It's about this child that I'm responsible for. And for some reason, it basically mobilized something that has always been in me, which has been that there's always been this underachiever my entire life. You know, I've been an underachiever, and there's always been within me, and just like there is within a lot of people, the ability to be very successful. It's just you need a reason to push. Because life, I mean, the human body, you're meant to do as little as possible to survive. You know, you're not, the human body is literally wants to, like, that's why people gain fat. You know, you want to prevent against starvation. So the human body is wanting to not expend a lot of extra energy.
Yeah.
And so that was my
resistance.
Yeah, that's human nature. Nobody says I want the hardest way. I'm going to run through this wall. They say I'm going to go through the doorway. It's open right there. And being successful is hard. It's really hard. And to be a business person running your own business, there's a lot of downsides. There's some great upsides too, but there's a lot of downsides. There's a lot of stress associated with it. And I was making enough money to survive and have fun. So that's really okay. But when I had Asher, it was a wake-up call to me that I needed to get off my ass and like finally use this potential that everybody had been seeing in me my whole life, but I never realized. So that having kids for me was a huge deal. And so instead of, you know, having kids making it expensive and not having money because you're giving all the kids, having kids made me rich. I mean, literally it made me rich because I am making sure that I can provide for the kids stuff that I wasn't able to provide. I wasn't provided for by my folks who were great parents. Awesome. I was very fortunate, but they weren't, you know, they didn't show an example like I am showing to them. They didn't do the kind of teaching, the kind of lessons that I teach Asher. Nobody did that with me because they just didn't know, you know, so I do a lot of that kind of stuff and I'm able to provide things that my folks couldn't.
Yeah. Do you think that anything that they did with your parents perhaps like gave you these little, I suppose, like things to actually be able to mentally, you know, go past where a lot of people would go past and achieve greater things? Or do you think it's more from your history? Because for people that don't know, you were a drug addict essentially, and you went through all that sort of stuff and you came out of that and become a success. Do you think it's more from the drug addict side of things that you've become successful, or something else?
You know, my mom won't like to hear this, but I don't think that they contributed, and they contributed a lot with love and caring, and they were, and like I said, I couldn't have hoped for better parents. Like they were fantastic, and I certainly didn't. When I say they couldn't provide stuff, I mean what I mean is that, I mean they certainly provided food. You know, I was always, you know, I had a roof over my head. You know, they did the best that they could, and I had more than enough. So I don't want to make it sound like, but no, they definitely did not. It has nothing to do with the success that I've achieved now. It has nothing to do with the nurture and the good stuff that they provided, because they didn't. They didn't know that, you know, they didn't have that life. Like I didn't grow up with any of these things. So they just weren't, my parents were not, the best way to put it is they didn't like strive to get more. So they were comfortable with what they had, and they lived a happy life together until my dad passed away. You know, they were married 40 years. So they lived a very happy life together, but they didn't push for anything really. You know, they got what they made. They went to work every day. We did family stuff. We ate together at night when I lived at home. I moved out when I was 17, but while we were there, you know, they didn't really push. So I didn't see, actually Dave Palumbo, believe it or not, was the first person I ever saw that had like a crazy work ethic. Dave doesn't work smart. I would tell him to his face. He does definitely not work smart, but he works hard as hell. And so like Dave stayed up all night, you know, editing videos and tagging pictures. This is at RX Muscle, and recording radio shows. He never missed one. And his work ethic was impeccable. I mean, he was a hard ass worker. And then he forced me to do the same thing, whether he was yelling at me or belittling me, but he made me do it. And and I have to thank him for that, because without Dave, I had never seen anybody who was that aggressive or that obsessive with getting shit done. And it helped me to realize, hey, I can do it too, because he would force me to do it. So or I would be yelled at and criticized and, you know, whatever. So I felt this need to make sure I did my job up to Dave's standards, which were very, very high, you know.
For sure.
So, if anything, I would say that Dave was more of my influence for the initial realization that I could at least work really hard. I mean, my reputation when I worked at Arcs Muscle, all the other media people were like, damn, Aaron outworks everybody. Literally, Isaac Hines, Ron Avedon, all the other people that were doing it at the time would be like, dude, you need to chill the fuck out because you're making us all look bad.
Yeah.
Because I would grind it out.
Yeah, and it's actually, I had the same sort of thing, like with you. It was actually with you and Dave. When you guys came to Australia, like us, and just I saw you guys from obviously watching all the US content and all that sort of stuff. The work ethic you guys had on doing the threads on all the competitions, commenting on everyone and stuff. And when Dave actually came to Australia, he said he's like, you're commenting on absolutely everyone. I said, yeah, because I was trying to comment on all the bikini girls, all like every single competitor. And he said no. He's like, I don't do all the bikini girls from amateur shows. He's like, it's too many. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was just trying to get it all done. And one time when we was actually covering the show, we didn't have a competitors list. We was trying our ass off to get these competitor lists, and David Bay was there, and he was going to do a play-by-play. And I remember he's just like, oh, couldn't get a competitor list, so he just kicked back and just chilled and watched the show. And I was like, no, that's motivation for me. Fuck that. I'm going to go try to find it. And I actually found one, and I shared it with him in the end. But I was just like, he's just sitting there, just he obviously has done some great things in bodybuilding. And I'm like, I want to do more than that. And based off what I know, what you and Dave would do. I mean, I've seen Dave not getting a competitors list and go and yell at people and
throw a fit. Oh yeah, he would throw a fit.
Exactly.
He would literally make a scene to get the competitor list for sure.
Yeah, I remember actually one time the Australian pro, and he was making a little bit of a scene, and you're like, Dave, calm down. But that's just Dave, I guess.
Yeah.
But before we get on to anything, do you want more kids?
Yeah, we do. I do. I think we both do now. So
yeah.
I have 3 boys, and I think we need to have that girl. So yeah. I mean, if it were up to me, Xavier, I would have many more. But I think that she will. I know that she'll go for one more for sure. So we'll shoot for that girl next, and then I'll try to start convincing her for the next one.
Yeah.
She said no to number 4 right after number 3, but I wore her down over the last 18 months. So
I guess going through pregnancy though is a little bit different for us compared to them.
I got news for you, man. She is very fortunate in the fact that she bounces back very quick. She doesn't get anything. She doesn't get the sickness stuff, like morning sickness. She doesn't throw up. She doesn't get stretch marks. She's like built for this. Like everybody has a purpose in life. She is amazing at having babies, bouncing back and dealing with babies. It's like, she's really good. So I see other women and what they go through, and not that it's not, I'm not saying it's easy for her, but it's pretty fucking easy compared to every other girl I've seen. So she's, she likes it. She likes being pregnant. It's not like something she looks forward to it. And then when the baby's, out, she misses the baby bump and stuff like that, So
how different is it now, having compared to having your first child with Asher? Were you just next level excited? Because I know I'm having my first child now, and my partner's halfway through a pregnancy. I'm she's like, oh, the baby's kicking. I'm just straight there, dive my hand in. I'm like, is it and I'm just super excited. Is it a bit more once you get to your second and third, you're a bit more oh yeah, that's what happens, sort of thing?
Yeah. It's definitely the third one. So Asher, we took thousands of pictures. It was you couldn't get enough pictures. Aiden, we took about half the amount of pictures. Elijah, my little guy, we take almost no pictures. It's everything. It's very the excitement. Not that the excitement goes down, because every kid is hugely special and important, but it definitely all of the little things that seemed important don't seem nearly as important for number 3. Because it's you've done it a bunch of times and you're more comfortable, and it's kind of something you've been through many times. So number 4, I'm sure, will be even more so. And it's also one of the funny things is when you have your first kid, you're very careful with everything. When I held Asher when he was a little guy, I was very nervous. I was nervous to hold him. I remember one time she went to the grocery and left me with Asher when he was just a few months old, and he started making weird noises, and I called her and I was like, get your ass back here right away. I was like, something's wrong with him. I don't feel comfortable being here. I was worried. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to mess this up. I was scared. She came back and she's like, he's fine. He's hiccuping. He's okay. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, you're not. Yeah. I'm like, you're not leaving me with him again for a while.
That's funny.
'Cause I was worried. So, and then now, it's now it's nothing is a big deal, and I realize that babies are not nearly as fragile as you would think that they would be.
Yeah.
It's hard to mess up. You got a lot of morons out there that have babies and they all survive, or a majority of them survive.
Yeah.
So I feel comfortable with kids now in general, whereas in the beginning I didn't. So yeah, it's not that it's less exciting, but it is certainly the little tiny things that seem like a big deal don't seem like as big a deal.
For sure, yeah. I'm just, like, I keep thinking about it. I'm like, how am I going to hold him? Like, how am I going to move this little dude around? And, like, I don't know.
You'll get used to it.
Yeah, and my partner's obviously got 2 kids as well, so she'll know what's up. So, anyway, let's talk about Redcon 1 before we launch into all the, basically what has made you successful and what your mindset is and all that sort of stuff. So, Redcon 1, you're doing the Redcon 1 12-week readiness trials right now where you're giving away $50,000 to the winner, which is pretty much unheard of. I don't know if there's ever been such a big prize in the sports supplement industry for a transformation challenge, which is pretty crazy. So what's the impetus behind doing that? Obviously, you're going to drum up X amount of business and all that sort of stuff. And obviously there's business goals behind that as well. So I suppose, how many entries have you got and what's the goal of this readiness trials?
I think that we have 1,700 entries. I'm not sure the exact number. It's a little less than 2,000 though. It's over 1,500 and less than 2,000.
And one of them is me.
Yeah, one of them is you. Yeah. Good luck.
Thank
I hope you win the $50,000.
I'll be late.
Were you in bad shape? I saw a video of you posing. Were you in bad shape before?
I was quite small and in average shape, so.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I wasn't obese or anything, but I had a bit of a bloated gut and stuff.
Okay. Because you're in great shape now already, so I was curious if you were already in good shape. Because obviously it makes it harder if you're in pretty good shape before versus, 'cause we got some super obese people, and just, obviously. So anyway, the contest is the most dramatic transformation. And I've been doing these readiness trials for a while now. I've done $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. And I felt like it was time to go big or go home. That was basically it. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to fool around with another 10 or 20 or move up to 25 or 30. Let's go to something that can really change somebody's life. I mean, $50,000 is enough money to, put a down payment on a home. You can do a lot of money, pay off your college. You can do a lot with $50,000, and it can literally change somebody's life. So I was like, that's enough money that I think that it would be interesting to a lot more people. And it has been. It has been. We got people that I don't think had heard of Redcon 1 that now have heard of it based on the readiness trials. And for us, honestly, it's not really about revenue or money or whatever. It's honestly not, because in the scheme of things, the money that's generated off one of these things is really hopefully enough to pay for the prize money and everything else. It's not something that I look at as a big deal, because the amount of revenue that the company's bringing in now per month, this is a very tiny percentage of it, but it does bring awareness to new people, and it is something really cool, and it gives us something to talk about and content, and hopefully it makes a whole hell of a lot of people kind of like ambassadors for the brand, so to say, because they get involved. Hopefully they love the process. They take the products along the way. They talk to their friends about it, and at the end of the day, if somebody really puts in the effort, they're going to come away from this thing saying, maybe I didn't win necessarily, but I did win in respect because I changed my body and it gave me a reason to do something I wanted to do anyway, So that's the purpose, really.
Yeah, and I've got to tell you, just with me personally, I had no ambitions of competing whatsoever, and I started this transformation challenge, and I got a few weeks in, I was like, shit, I'm changing pretty quick. And I was like, the comp's too close, and then there's a comp, over in another state. And I'm like, I'm going to do that. So I've got a comp in, 5 weeks, that I never would have done if it wasn't for this transformation challenge. So
there you go.
And that, draws me towards a brand, and, I tried more of a products and stuff like that. So it's definitely a great idea. And what you guys are doing is really, really cool with that, because I think other companies will be like, let's do it with 5, let's do it with 1, let's do it with 2K, you know what I mean? So you guys are actually putting your ass on the line, and if not enough people enter it, it's like, oh shit. So obviously yourself and Dario are going head to head with that, and you've got a bit of a wager on it. Now, is there any actual real tension where you might overstep the mark and talk some shit, smack talk and shit? And
I've definitely had to delete stuff. Yes,
I knew it.
Definitely had to delete stuff. Depending on the mood that she's in, sometimes she thinks it's funny, and then sometimes she thinks it's not funny. So it just depends on how she's feeling at the time. So it's like sometimes she'll talk shit and joke around, and then I'll do it, and she'll get angry that I she'll feel like it's over the limit. But the problem is that the limit, it fluctuates dramatically from day to day and moment to moment. So one time she'll think it's funny, and then I'll do the same thing another day, and she'll be like, delete that, you're an asshole. So
the line is so fine with that.
Yeah. Well, it's actually better. The truth is, it's actually better for us, because when we're doing it together and I want to help her. She takes it very poorly. She does not want me to ask her, did you do your cardio, or like, what did you eat today, or like, hey, should you be eating that? She does not want that. So she doesn't want any assistance or any suggestions whatsoever from me. So this helps, because I'm rooting for her not to do cardio. So if she wants to eat something, I'm like, good, eat it. Yeah, you deserve it. And the funny thing, the funny thing is that's what it does, right? What it actually does is it accomplishes the same thing that I would have done before, but in a way that she can handle. So it's funny, because I can't suggest anything to her. So if I'm like, hey, why don't you try HIIT cardio? She'll be like, offended by that. Like, oh, I look bad. So I have learned not to say anything about anything. But now I can say stuff because I can mess with her a little bit. And the truth is, I really do want to beat her. So if she skips cardio for a few days, good, good for her. She should take some time off, So it honestly helps our relationship, even though we are doing it together. And I do want her to get lean. I mean, I like when she's in shape, so it's like a benefit to me that she gets in shape. So I'm all for it, but like, I still plan to beat her,
So it's a win-win.
Yeah, no matter what I win. Yeah.
Now, just discussing your relationship as well. Do you guys because obviously you've got a busy lifestyle, like you're in a hotel now because you're flying out in the morning, for obviously probably some business stuff, I'm guessing. Do you guys have to plan time together? Do you have on certain days where you do things or stuff like that? Or is it just when you can spend time together, you spend time together? So how do you sort of structure that and maintain a healthy relationship?
So I definitely do plan stuff. So basically my daily schedule, I get up in the morning and I don't leave really till the kids leave for school. And then I come home for about 7 o'clock ish to make sure I have time to see the kids before they go to bed. And then I put them to bed. And that is Monday through Friday. And then Saturday I only work till 5. So I go in at 10. So I wait till after Asher goes to golf practice, golf lessons. And then when he goes to the golf lessons, I go to work. So I'll go to work Saturday from 10 to 4, 10 to 5. And then I come home and do like a family dinner. Sometimes Daryl and me do date night on Saturday night. And then Sunday is strictly family day. So cool. I literally spend the entire day doing something with the whole family, unless I'm out of town. But if I'm in town, we spend family day together. Maybe we go to the beach club or we do something as a family, and that ends up being a great thing. And I get to see the kids, spend time with everything, and it's kind of like a forced balance in my life, if that's the best way to put it. And I need that. I need a balance, and this schedule that we have forces that.
Yeah, for sure. Now, just to discuss one more bit of Redcon 1, obviously you guys have just moved into a massive new warehouse. Like I saw your Instagram story today and the tour of that, and it's enormous. It's, that of, I suppose, what I imagine like Optimum Nutrition would have, or these other huge companies as well. And you even mentioned that Medax from Australia is coming over to do the artwork and stuff on some of the walls, which is pretty cool. So tell us a little bit about the new warehouse and what's happening. What else is happening, I guess, with Redcon 1?
So the new warehouse, we signed the lease. I signed the lease on this thing, and I paid the deposit in the first month, last month, that stuff. We actually won't move in till probably August or September, because they're doing a full build out. So I'm customizing the whole thing. So like what you saw today is like the current shell of what it's going to be. I'm going to do polished concrete floors. It's going to be very modern, and I have a lot of cool stuff planned. When we do the open house, probably in September before the Olympia, I'm going to invite everybody to come and see it. You're invited if you feel like flying down before the Olympia.
Thank you.
And and it's going to be, it's going to be tremendous. So what you saw is like the 1.0 or 2.0 is going to be a very, very different thing, because we're spending $1 million fixing the place up. So it's going to be dramatically different than it is now. But it is huge. It's 55,000 square feet. I don't know what that means in square meters, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's really cool. So we are right now in 7 different warehouses. So around Boca it's called Roger Circle, which is a small business park. So we have the one that everybody sees when we post. It's only 8,800 square feet, which is our office, and then our direct to consumer shipping. And then we have 6 other warehouses around the area that are all separated. The biggest one is about 12,500 square feet. And then the smallest one is 2,200 square feet. So, but they're all over the place. It's very disconnected, extremely inefficient. And we are driving around getting pallets from place to place and moving them to another place and then packing them. I mean, it's just a huge, huge cluster. And it's ridiculous. So by moving into this place, the new place will all be under one roof and the efficiency level will skyrocket. And in terms of inventory management, it'll help tremendously. And also team building. It's weird to have so many teams that don't even know each other. I mean, I don't even know the names of a lot of my own employees, which is weird, because I don't see them. I literally go in there and everybody's like, oh, they all act like, like the mean boss is there or some guy, like they're all super intimidated because they don't even know me. They never see me. So it's weird. It's a weird, it is what it is. It's something we had to do. I kept getting more and more spaces because we are in such a space crunch. We still are in a space crunch. Like the thing that's holding us back the most in business is lack of space. And so I can continue to buy or lease these tiny warehouses or small warehouses, and it can get worse and worse essentially. Or I needed to bite the bullet and get someplace much bigger, something that we can grow into. And this place that we have has the ability to have we have half, and the guy that we are leasing from has given us the first right of refusal for the additional space. So hypothetically, we could have 120,000 square feet if needed in the future in this building. So, it's a big move. We're very excited. I can't wait to get in there because I know it's going to be better for business, and it's also exciting because, like you said, I mean, this is not just this place won't just be a warehouse and an office. I mean, it's going to be a showpiece. So when you walk in there, because I have it for 6 years. So when you walk in there, I want people to be like, holy shit, these guys made it. Like, it's impressive. Because when you walk into the warehouse now, it is all those things, but it's like, it doesn't feel like a major company. It feels like like something that got put together that's doing really well. There's a lot of action. It doesn't feel like what I'm going for, which is the biggest supplement company in the world. So if you want the biggest supplement company in the world, it wouldn't be run out of where we're at.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, what's the end goal of Redcon One? And obviously it is to be the biggest supplement company in the world, but are you ever fearful of, I suppose, reaching that goal? You're the biggest supplement company in the world, you're at that goal, then it's sort of like, what's next? Do you ever worry, or do you think you'd launch into another business? Do you think you'd build businesses off Redcon One and just maintain that as being the biggest and the dominant one?
Well, I'm interested in business in general. So I'm not just interested solely in the sports supplement field. So when we reach that goal, the options would be obviously to be acquired and somebody to purchase Redcon One, or to find people that like some of my guys now, like Eric Hart and Eduardo, that can, run the day-to-day operations and basically take over the role as CEO, so I can use my time and abilities to build other businesses. So, I mean, either one of those things would be acceptable and, really cool. So no, I would not say that you will see Aaron Singerman as the CEO of Redcon One in 10 years, no matter what. I wouldn't be very surprised. Yeah. Okay. That's not in my plans, put it to you that way.
Yeah. Okay, so let's break down some of, I suppose, your success techniques, what you do on a day-to-day basis. A lot of people are obsessed with this sort of question. I don't know how important you think it is, but people's morning rituals, is there anything you do as soon as you wake up that you think, sort of sets up your day for, success?
Well, I mean, I do a few things. Number one, I do cardio in the morning. I think that doing cardio in the morning helps me to have something accomplished. It kind of gets me going, So the first thing I do, I used to be fasted every morning before I started doing the readiness trials. I did intermittent fasting because I wasn't eating till 11 o'clock, sometimes noon. But now that I'm dieting, I started eating first thing in the morning. So I do a cup of coffee in meal number one, literally as soon as I wake up. because otherwise I won't be able to get in all my meals for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So I do that right away, have coffee, and then I go do cardio. I do 30 minutes of cardio, and I get that done. Now, if I do IG Live, which I do almost every day on the Redcon One IG, I answer questions about products, talk about business, whatever. And people, honestly, I do it kind of selfishly because it entertains me. Because I'll like be mentally, stimulated by talking about it while I'm doing cardio. I don't get a ton of people, maybe 50 or 60 people watch in the mornings. But it keeps me like, and it also keeps you on your toes, because if you're able to answer questions live like we're doing right now, it kind of means you're the real deal. And there are a lot of people out there that aren't. And if you can't speak, off the cuff about your products or have answers about, whatever, you probably don't really have answers because you have to look it up or think about it a while. I usually can get them pretty quick. And so I do this when I sign off with people every day, as I tell them, tell yourself, I say it out loud, today's going to be the best day ever. And it's like an affirmation of sorts. And I think that I'm a very big believer in visualization. I'm a big believer in goal setting and stuff in conjunction with visualization. So what I think that by saying that out loud, saying today's going to be the best day ever, you're kind of mentally.
So you actually say it out loud. You don't just say it in your head.
Yeah.
You say it out loud.
No, I say it out loud. I say it to the people when I'm signing out. After, guys, have a great, like today is Wednesday, right? Have a great Wednesday. You're in the middle of the week. You're going to crush the rest of the week. Seize the opportunities, and remember, today is going to be the best day ever. That's cool. And if I don't do it with them, I say it to myself in the mirror out loud that today's going to be the best day ever. And I think starting off the day with a lot of positivity, and I honestly believe that helps. And even if when I say it, I feel kind of silly, and it makes me kind of like smile that I'm saying this to myself, and I think that's good too. So I do that, and the other thing that I do that I think is probably different. I don't know if anybody else does this, or this is something that is suggested by anybody, but when I brush my teeth, I don't have time to meditate, and even though I've tried it before, they have an app on the phone. I forget the name of the app, but I really liked it too. Yeah, Headspace. Yeah, Headspace. The guy has a great voice. He's got an accent, a British accent. He's like really soothing voice, and I really like doing it, but I was not consistent about doing it. So I came up with something where I brush my teeth. I brush my teeth for a few minutes in the morning, and I think about things that I'm grateful for. So I think about the things in my life, or even little things about yesterday or that I'm going to do that day that I'm happy that I'm doing and I feel grateful for. And I think that and I do the exact same thing at night before bed when I brush my teeth before bed. And it's become a real habit, and it makes me really reflect on what's going on in my life, because things move very fast for me. We are moving very quickly, and I'm extremely focused on goals and what we're trying to accomplish. And I very rarely take a step back and think about what I have accomplished instead of thinking about what I'm trying to accomplish. Yeah. And so, it's like when people come to my house, right? Not that I do this a lot now, but when the house was brand new, I gave a lot of people tours of the house. So people would be like, oh, can you give me a tour? Can you show me the house? And I would do it. And I actually like to do it because when I give people a tour of the house, it reminds me that I live in this fucking house. So I'm like, holy shit. Yeah. This is my house. Because I don't actually think about it when you're there. I'm not thinking about like how weird that I live in this house, I think it's just my house. This is normal. I'm desensitized to the fact that that's where I live. But when I give a tour of the house, I'm like, holy shit. Like, how weird is it that I live here, considering that this is my house? I never been in a house like that. Growing up, there weren't houses around me that like this. It didn't even exist. So to give a tour, it reminds me like how awesome it is that I own a house like this. And that's kind of like in life in general. I don't take the time to sit back and think about it a lot. And so when I brush my teeth, that's my chance to think about it. I think about how happy I am that I have these kids, that Asher, lost a tooth, that, like shit like that. Yeah. And things that it reminds me what's really important, in life, because those are the things that I often think about, stuff like Asher lost a tooth. And that's really the things that I am happy about,
Yeah, that's cool. And I can kind of appreciate that now, like my partner's 11-year-old son, he came home from high school, second day of high school yesterday, and he was like bonding with me, talking to me about stuff, and I was thinking about that. I was like, that's fucking cool. Like, and I was talking to Tara about it, saying like, you know, he was talking about this and blah, 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 and it makes me, I suppose, that whole gratitude thing, I think it's really important and it just makes you so much happier, I guess, when you're grateful for what you've got rather than focusing on what you don't have.